Knut Peterson. I work for the Bureau of Land Management in the Roswell Field Office in New Mexico. I'm a cave specialist, and so my job is dealing with all things cave. What we have here in our field office, we use this type of decon unit. We've evolved it from basically having no decon to using harsh chemicals to using a diesel-powered furnace type of in-tank heater from the military that shot fireballs out into the sky, so we abandoned that. Then we went to a tankless water heater that's attached to a building with a flow-through design, which was good, but it wasted water and used a lot of energy to heat water constantly. So this is a recirculating type of system here. So we have a 200-gallon tank here, stock tank, 6 foot long, 2 foot by 2 foot. On top of it we have a mesh type of system that holds the gear down underneath the water and keeps it completely submerged. So all the gear remains under the water and is getting fully deconned. Currently this unit is running at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So if we have temperature fluctuations, as we put large amounts of gear in there, we don't go below the recommended 131 degrees. And that way we can do a decon in 20 minutes instead of waiting for bounce back. So you put gear in here. Basically, we also have right here, there's a filter inside the tank that filters out the big garbage like grass and sticks and some mud. Water comes through this point here. These are quick release, so this whole thing can be taken apart and separated from the heating unit and the tank in a matter of minutes and transported anywhere we like. So the water comes through this, goes through this pump here. This is a high temperature pump capable of dealing with up to 180 degree water. It has a volume of 17 gallons per minute. So the water comes through this pipe, then we can either bypass the heater system if we're already up to temperature, or we can come through the heating system and go through this filter here, sediment filter, which is easily cleaned right here. So we hit this, out comes the sediment, and we're back in business. So the water then goes after the filter, it goes through the water heater, tankless water heater, 145,000 BTUs. Then it comes back out of there and ends up going back into the tank. And
who designed or developed this whole system?
I did.
You figured out what you needed?
Yes, and it was an adaptation of using the tankless water heater to heat the water, but as far as recirculation, this design is mine. And I've had a lot of people. Right. So I have a lot of people who helped assist in the building and the sourcing of parts. One of my assistance groups, the Fort Stanton Cave Study Project, helped out with designing and building this project as well. Okay. So that's where we are with this unit. And it all goes into a trailer, along with the generator, power washers, drying racks, all of that business, and we can haul it anywhere we like, as long as we have access to water.
All right, my name is John Norman from Fullerton, California, and I'm with the Desert Dog Troglodytes Grotto. And what we have here is a portable decontamination unit for sanitizing cave clothing and equipment. And this was built in about 10 days. We needed to have a backup unit in order to have full coverage and enough capacity to decontaminate everyone's cave clothes. The U.S. Forest Service gave us $2,500 to build this, which was kind of an aggressive timeline and budget, but we used a lot of donations and volunteer help. And basically what we have here, that is a 30-gallon restaurant pot that we got surplus for $100. That is a 180-quart or 45-gallon restaurant pot we bought new. And then two 50,000 BTU Cajun burners that were cut up and welded in. And we built a heavy steel frame with 3-inch angle iron to hold this. And we have basically 4 propane tanks. 2 of them are out for filling right now. And the way this thing works, we've got a big thermometer that you can dunk. So this guy has, basically just sits in one or the other, and it will tell you when it's up to speed, up to temperature. And we control the gas right here, light it, get it up to typically a little over 130, typically 140, so that we make sure it's going to accommodate all the gear that comes in. It's going to drop the temperature a bit. And We also have these things turnbuckled on here so they can't, you know, spill scalding water on you. This is kind of clever. You can do this with any kind of restaurant pot or vessel you get. And this just makes it a little safer. We have the smaller tank. Is great because it heats up in about 15 minutes from cold. So if we have a rush job or a couple people that come back in the middle of the night that want a decon, you know, this is pretty simple to operate and can't clog up with mud or anything. It's not as efficient as the recirculating system, but it's something a grotto could build pretty inexpensively and, you know, bring out to a regional, something like that.
So these are two separate systems?
These are two separate systems, exactly.
The one back there and this one?
Yes, they are. They're not connected at all.
And you're using one over the other, or just
well, that one is definitely faster. You know, it's a big insulated tank that's typically going to be held, you know, temperature all day, and you know, once it's working, it's pretty hands-off. The disadvantage is that it's a little more complicated. It's got plumbing fittings and pumps and so forth, so there's a possibility something could go wrong.
This one was easier to build, less money.
Yeah, this one is simple, easy to build, and you know, it doesn't have as much capacity for a number of you know, sets of cave gear that can go through per hour. But this might be more appropriate for a grotto to build and maintain themselves. And you can also still use that utility trailer for gating or supplies or whatever. And the other thing, we have a power washer and hose and all the equipment for this. That can actually store in this 180 quart tank, which gets strapped down to the deck when it's being transported. Another feature I'd recommend if someone's going to build one of these, we have 3 trailer jacks. So this thing is completely solid. People can walk on it. You don't have to take it off the trailer. They do sell these Cajun burner units for, you know, fish fries and things like that. A lot of those are not sufficiently beefy to put, you know, a 100+ quart restaurant pot on, so you may want to make a steel frame, fabricate something like this to keep it securely mounted. This thing could also be moved while it's full if necessary in order to, you know, take it over to dump it or something. Refilling these things, we also included a sump pump, and this is a good style. You know, only uses, I don't know, 200 watts of electricity, has a screen on the very bottom. So this can drain those pots in about 5 minutes, and it just hooks up to a standard garden hose. So the same hose used for filling can also be used for draining up to 100 feet away and 15 feet of elevation change. So this works out pretty well. And then the rest of the stuff, I think we're pretty familiar with. You know, we have bleach for decontamination, you know, for things that we don't cook and vice versa. But this is also going to be available after convention for any cave events in, you know, the West Coast or Western region. The Underground Conservancy Forest Service asked that we maintain that and you make it available to other cavers. They did not want to leave it here in Ely. They wanted to go out in the field and get used.
So we have a National Cave Rescue big seminar coming on in Central Oregon. Is it possible they could rent this out?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly.
Because they're looking into, they need something like
yeah,
this.
Well, it's built, it works, it's been tested, so no problem. And
they would contact you?
Yeah, John Norman from the Desert Dog Troglodytes Grotto. My email address is arclight, ARCLIGHT @gmail.com, or John Norman in the NSS book.
Fantastic. Any other comments? Or?
Well, not really. I mean, this is the first time we've done something like this, and you know, the Newt's unit could double as a great hot tub. And this one could make a whole lot of, you know, soup or spaghetti or whatever if you had a giant grotto fundraiser. We're thinking about brewing beer in the big one when we get it back.
Nice.
So might as well go dual purpose.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to go through the decon process as we like to do it here. So here's a batch of gear. A family has dropped this off, and they would normally be doing this, but they're volunteering at some other things. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go through this. Normally the caver would do this themselves, and at this part of the process. So theoretically this gear has not been deconned, and we need to get any kind of mud off. If we have dusty gear, we bring it to this first station here and we lay it all out. Yeah, that's vertical gear. So at this station we're getting rid of dusty stuff. Basically, we have a muddy station over there with power washers to get the hard and stuck mud on, get it off of your gear. Here, if we have dust, we just want to remove that, so we minimize the amount of particulate matter going into our decon unit. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this gear off. At this point, if you wanted to, and you didn't want to put your helmets into our 140-degree water, you could take them over here as per U.S. Fish and Wildlife's decon protocol and wipe this stuff down with chemical and then rinse it off later and be done with that. These people are okay with all of this gear going into the decon unit, so that's what we're going to proceed with next. Okay, so now we're going to put this gear into a mesh bag. What this does is it helps keep everybody's gear together. It's not all floating around in the decon tank and you're missing a glove or a boot or whatever. Seal it up, so you take your gear over to the decon. Deposit your gear into this holding area before we cook it.
Did you just get all your gear deconned?
Yeah.
So you're ready to cave now?
Yep.